The biggest fight that you can make in 2025 right now is seemingly Jon Jones for Tom Aspinall, but you can't mention Jon Jones' name without duck emojis being sprawled across the universe. It seems like Jon Jones is doing everything imaginable to not fight Tom Aspinall. Is this just one big ruse to get as much money as possible, or is he literally afraid to ruin his legacy? My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thomson, and welcome to another episode of Bad Takes. Joshua, your partner in crime over there, told some wild story about Jon Jones touching some butt in the locker room. That went viral a little bit. Yeah, little touch butt. Yeah. And that ended up going viral. That was on the heels of Jon Jones going viral twice in 1 week. The first time he was doing a FaceTime with somebody saying, I'm done, basically implying he's retired. The second time he just did a Muay Thai seminar or just an MMA seminar in Thailand, thanking Tom Aspinall because it was a massive crowd and most of them were from the UK. There's a lot of randomness going on here with Jon Jones. So, A, do you think he is ever going to fight again? Is this guy done? Or do you think this is just trying to squeeze every nickel out of this that he possibly can?
I think he's going to try to squeeze every nickel out of it as he possibly can. Jon is one of those fighters that he has a very high fight IQ. He is somebody that he's kind of mentally trying to like position himself to be the man, and which he has been the man for the longest time in this sport. But the thing that with him is he's got to be careful because right now the market is just not there for the sport of MMA. I just had this full on like rant basically on my other show on Weighing In, talking about how the fighters right now are putting themselves in positions to make a lot of money, but they're also putting themselves in positions to fuck up the situation that the UFC is providing for them because there's nowhere else for them to go. The PFL is not going to pay you, especially at the top, the cream of the crop. Fighters cannot be taking themselves out of these fights in these situations. Jon Jones could literally not fight and it wouldn't affect the UFC at all. So, and whether you're a fan of Jon or not, it doesn't matter to me. Bottom line is the sport of MMA is in a position where they need more fighters like a Dustin Poirier, like an Eddie Alvarez, like a Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira. They need those guys that will step up and fight anyone, anytime, anywhere, like the sport was developed around. The Don Fries, the people that just said, like, I'll fight him. Doesn't matter who it is, I'll fight him. Like those type of, you look at the Don Fry fight that he had over in Japan, where he just grabbed the big Japanese fighter.
Yeah. And they just went like this.
Yeah, just going at it, right? I know that's caveman style fighting. Like when you think of human cockfighting, that's what you think of. But the bottom line is we don't have fighters like that anymore. We don't have athletes that are willing to say, like, you know what, I'm gonna go out there and just let it all hang out. You get a couple here in between, the top level fights. You'll get some of them, but we're lacking those dogs right now. And the Jon Jones situation is really escalating this. It's actually bringing a bigger spotlight on the fact that that's not what we have anymore. We have fighters making business decisions, which they should. But at the end of the day, make the business decision that best suits you, but also fight. But dragging this on and I'm not going to say it's going to hurt his legacy. I'm just going to simply say that people are they're checking out. They're moving on. And the longer that it waits, the less money this fight will make, I think.
I agree. I'm counting. If you're wondering what the silence is, I searched top UFC pay-per-views of all time, and I had them listed out. I counted till I got to a Jon Jones one, and it was Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier, number 2.
Yep.
What number in the top? It's outside the top 10. What number in the top pay-per-views of all time do you think?
He's like in the 23rd or 25th or somewhere around there.
It's the 23rd highest grossing UFC pay-per-view, which great. It's a big number. It didn't even break 1 million buys. It was 860,000 buys.
Oh, I thought that was the only one that he ever broke 1 million.
According to this is a Tapology list, so I trust it. Maybe it was, residual buys, day 2, day 3. I don't know, but it was 800 and something thousand views. So, and the reason I went to that is because there are rumors that Jon Jones is asking for tremendous numbers, 30 million. You mentioned 50 million right before we hit record. Those are giant numbers. In the world of boxing, they're not giant numbers. In the world of UFC, those are unreasonable numbers. They just literally are. So while the fan base seems to think that this is the biggest fight we can do. And it probably honestly is the biggest fight they could put together right now, unless the only other fight you could possibly argue would be if Islam wins and Ilya wins, and there's still a conversation about that. That's the only other fight.
And at 170. If
170 is crazy.
Ilya's talking about going to 70, though, Ilya said he wants to be the 3-division champion. And this is why I hang my hat on guys like Ilya. And I say, he's doing and saying all the things that he said he was going to do. Jon Jones has done all those things at the light heavyweight division. In the heavyweight division, he's really holding up the sport. They want to have a reason to like Jon Jones right now, and they don't have one. Fans.
All they have is his skill set. Yeah. All they have is what he has done in the past and his skill set. But he's fought like 2 times in 5 years or something absurd like that. And to your point, he could disappear tomorrow. It does suck, right? Like, I enjoy Jon Jones fights. There is a buzz about him. I think if he fought Tom Aspinall, it would certainly be a big pay-per-view.
What's your idea of big, though?
Well,
it's not breaking 600. I don't even think
you're out of your fucking mind, dude. No, you're out of your mind. He'll do 1 million buys. You're out of your mind. You don't think he'll do 600,000 buys?
Fuck no.
Okay, hold on. Let's look at the last.
You just said that DC and him, that was like the golden era. They didn't even get 885,000.
The sport's bigger now than it was then. I'm trying to see. Man, these are all. This is just Conor McGregor over and over.
Pay-per-views have done this. That's all they've done. You're delusional. I don't even know if they break 500.
I'm trying to see. I can't sort this list. I wanted to sort the list by UFC number to see the last, what the last modern pay-per-view number did. But I mean, listen, I think it would break 1 million. No, you would have all of UK, because Jon Jones might not be a huge draw, but we have to assume Tom Aspinall's got a whole country behind him.
Yeah.
Although they don't buy pay-per-views. Never mind. They get it for free. They get it for free.
I believe the UK, Australia, US, Japan, and Canada all buy pay-per-views. Those are the only 5 countries that buy pay-per-views.
I thought the UK was getting it like included in their ESPN deal or whatever their broadcast deal is.
But yeah, I couldn't tell you then off that. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, or they have like Sky has like some $10 a month. I don't know how those numbers flesh out. I do think it is a big fight. There was another theory. So you mentioned he's in all likelihood, because he's not afraid of another human being. I'll throw that out there. He's not afraid of it. He fought everybody at their best for 20 years. So he is not afraid to lose a fight. I do think he's either jockeying for more money or quite literally just doesn't care anymore. Like, I don't care. I've got all the money in the world. Doesn't matter to me. But there was a rumor, this was thrown out there by Ariel Helwani, that Jon Jones asked for a massive payout. Let's assume $30 or $50 million. And the UFC was like, okay. And then Jon was like, like basically calling his bluff. And then Jon was like, no, thank you. I'm still not going to fight. That's the rumor that Ariel Helwani is reporting on. I don't know where it came from, but there's that theory as well. There's a lot of randomness going on here. And you mentioned it's not going to affect his legacy. I definitely don't think it affects his accomplishments. The problem is most of these MMA fans, and that's you people, most of these MMA fans are newer, right? COVID blew this sport up. It was a giant inflection point in this sport. And if you signed up and you started watching and you really have started to appreciate this sport in the COVID era, you don't know who Jon Jones is. You only saw him basically lose to Dominic Reyes. Like, you don't know who he is. So what will happen is, while he literally has almost every record you would ever want, most title defenses, he has almost every imaginable record you could ever want. What is going to happen, though, is the general fan following and the general perception of him is he's a coward that doesn't fight. So his reputation will be ruined in air quotes, but I don't think it'll affect his quote unquote legacy. Do you think he ever ends up actually fighting Tom Aspinall? Or do you think he just plays this game too long, ends up being 40, and that's the end of it?
I don't think he fights Tom Aspinall. I don't think it happens. I think he's, just enjoying his life right now, and he's going to see what they come up with. I think if they do get to closer to the $50 million mark, there might be a chance.
I mean, yeah, who would say no to that?
Because I think this fight is one of those ones that will help them get the TV deal. To whatever deal they want, this will help them. So if Netflix comes in and says, yeah, we'll go ahead and do this, it won't be pay-per-view. If that's the way you want to look at it, it won't be pay-per-view. So yes, it'll do numbers. But actual buying pay-per-views, I don't think it breaks 600,000.
Oof.
We're just not. We're not in that. I honestly got to be honest. It's going to be either just under. It's going to be just under 5 or somewhere in between that 5 and 6. And that's because you have the UK. It has nothing to do with Jon Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, you're fighting Jon Jones. Yes, it does. It has something to do with Jon Jones. But it's because there's such a huge following for Tom Aspinall being the guy who's carrying his country on his back.
So listen, I agree. It may not break a million.
Definitely is not breaking a million. Not even close.
He did 800,000 versus Stipe, and that was the most meaningless fight in the world.
Yeah, a lot of that too was the fact that like they marketed that to be like the greatest heavyweight fighting Jon Jones, who is considered to be the greatest fighter. And like I said, every time it did 800,000.
800,000.
Oh wow, it did way better than I thought it would.
It was at MSG. It was a big event. And
who was the undercard?
I don't remember.
You can't.
It was UFC. I see now. There's like awkward silences.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler in the co-main event. Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. Mauricio Ruffy, so
there you go. So Bo Nickel, Charles Oliveira, Chandler, like that all carried the weight.
And it was at MSG, which shouldn't really affect the pay-per-view, but somehow it does.
It does. Yeah. It does. When you say it's at Madison Square Garden and you say it's the Staples Arena or Anaheim Ducks Arena, like it's something about like it's in LA, it's in Las Vegas at T-Mobile, like it's a huge deal when you start think about all the flashbacks of Mike Tyson, right? Walking out in the MGM. Huge. Yeah. That's all you think of. You're like, damn, this is enormous. It's a big, huge fight. That's exactly Madison Square Garden. So no different than like you say, hey, we're fighting at Wembley Stadium in the UK. Like it's huge. When you hear those stadiums being announced, it's a big fight. Big fight.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I do want him to fight. I've been, I've seen every event ever since it started. So I'm a Jon Jones guy. I watched that full trajectory. I watched him become who he is. Anybody who doesn't know that loss on his record is not a loss. He beat the absolute shit out of Matt Hamill. Questionable elbow. Ref immediately calls it a loss.
You and Big John, man, you guys got to stop this. It's a loss.
Why?
You broke the rules. It's a loss.
Yeah, okay, but like you beat the shit out of
it. No, but you broke the rule. You guys.
That's not illegal anymore.
John's constantly saying like, "Yo, he shouldn't have the loss." I'm like, no, he cheated. Whether you thought he should have, doesn't matter if I'm up on the scorecards by fucking 50, right? It doesn't matter. And I knock you, or I hurt you with an illegal shot, you lose.
I'm not debating that it's not a loss. I don't think they should overturn it because that would be absurd. He quite literally.
He should have 2. The one with Anthony Smith should be a loss. If Anthony couldn't continue,
that was up to Anthony. That was up to Anthony. He fucked that up.
Exactly.
Anthony should have done that. It would have changed his life. He fucked that up.
But it's but the thing with Anthony is, I get it, I understand. But with Anthony, right? Like that should have been a loss though too. It didn't matter whether he was winning or not. That should have been a loss. But Anthony was able to suck it up and get through it and do whatever, and good.
I mean, the point I was making there is you might see that he lost. And technically speaking, he did, but he's an undefeated fighter as far as skills.
No, when you have a loss,
what a fucking joke.
You and John are trying to you guys like this thing where you try to shape the argument to benefit what you're saying. And the bottom line is he lost. He cheated and he lost.
He didn't even cheat. It was very clearly just part of the rhythm and accident. It wasn't like he.
No, you don't rhythm and accidentally elbow somebody in the face with the 12-6 elbow.
Of course you do. What is he, a mathematician? Did he have a protractor? He had a protractor out. He knew the angle.
We spend all this time drilling and training, to not have a little bit more control over those situations. He knew what he was doing.
I'm going to go through every Josh Thomson fight ever. I'm going to find fence grabs. I'm going to find some back of the head. I'm going to find some back of the head punches. I'll find a back of the head punch. So. Whether it's called or not, I'll find it.
No. Well, if the ref didn't see it, didn't stop it.
This is still an illegal move. It's still an illegal move.
Literally was stopped by the ref.
He didn't even get a warning. The ref was like, "That's it."
It was an illegal blow.
12-6
was considered to be the most dangerous blow there was. Now we realize it's not, but
they've removed it. It's not even illegal anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I remember I was in a managed fighters, for anybody who doesn't know, for a little while there. We were at Mohegan
up every show. We all know.
You just got to remind the people. We were at Mohegan Sun. It was a Bellator event, and Ben Saunders was there, former Ultimate Fighter, UFC fighter. And Mike Muzelli went through all the rules, 12-6, all of that. And then he's like, any questions? Typically, no questions. Everybody knows the rules. They were the same rules for a long time. And then Ben Saunders is like, I have a question. If 12-6 is illegal, is 6-12 illegal? Because he had those long, weird elbows and he wanted the elbow straight up. And Mike was like, I guess not. Perfectly legal because it'll be the jaw, not the top of the head. So yeah, go for it. So it's just a funny twist on that whole thing. And now it's all out the window. Now you can knee people.
Did he land those elbows at all?
I think no. I think he won that fight like with knees in the clinch. Had never was a factor. So, but it is.
Look, I think with the Jon Jones situation is, we all want to see the fight. But I think the longer that he drags it out, the more that he plays like these games, the more he's like, oh, I don't care. I don't need you guys. It really does turn off some of the casual fans. The casual fans that tune in, the hardcore fans are always going to watch. We're like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like that's going to happen. Now, if they're going to stack the card like they did in the Madison Square Garden, and where's John going to fight him at? He's going to fight him in Wembley. He's going to fight him in LA. Where's he going to fight him at? And they're going to stack that card again with, Charles is a huge fan favorite. Chandler was going through a phase where he was, waiting for the Conor fight. Still, always known to have an exciting fight. Didn't live up to the potential in that one. But, and then whoever else was on the card, you brought up something.
Bo Nickel before he lost.
Yeah. Before he lost. I mean, it was a draw. You had all the American wrestlers and a lot of the wrestling programs all tuning in to see how Bo would do. So if they stack the card again, I could see it then breaking that 600, but I'm going to lean closer to the 600 depending on who they put on the undercard. But the more you drag it out, the less casuals are going to be like, man, this guy, he's really turning me off. But then you may get the guys, if he becomes enough heel, like a Floyd Mayweather, they want to see him lose.
Yeah. That's the Howard Stern effect. You're watching me because you love me. You're watching because you hate you. I don't care. You're watching. It will be interesting to see what they end up doing with it. I think they kind of have to do it. I'm sure there's a huge appetite for it. I think you're right. The TV deal. I don't know what's happening with those negotiations. The ESPN platform deleted thousands of historical UFC fights. You used to be able to go on ESPN Plus, watch fights from years ago, right? Throughout the duration of this deal, they're all gone. They were deleted. They were removed. Oh, wow. I don't know if ESPN is just cleaning up server space, right? Like it costs a lot of money to host all these videos, or hey, this deal's not going great. I'm slowly taking things off of my platform, the historical stuff. So I don't know what's happening with that, but to your point, if this is truly only a money thing, let's assume John does want to fight Tom Aspinall. Tom wants to fight John. UFC wants to do it, and it's quite literally John just playing games with the money. If it's truly a money thing, now is quite literally the best possible time for John to be effing around with the money. Yeah. Because with the TV deal on the lurch, they're either going to want to use that as a bargaining chip to get a TV deal or do it like now so they can show, they can use those numbers to show the world, hey, see, Netflix, this is why you want to buy us. We can do big fights. Here you go. Or why you want to pay us for our product here.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of the conversation was about Conor not getting his last fight or two because they wanted to use that for the negotiations, which makes sense. That's one. Two, John being this fight is looming like in the background, going, hey, like we really could use this fight on whatever platform you decide to go to. I'm wondering if they're going to start looking to change their format because they've said like we're going to go out of the Apex a lot more going in 2025, which they haven't. They're still going to the Apex quite a bit, and so I'm assuming like they're going to use that as a negotiation tool. Like we'll do less. Maybe we'll just do the Dana White Contender Series there, because that's cost effective.
They just spent like $80 million to renovate it though.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure they have other ideas on how they're going to utilize it.
Yeah.
They'll have more shows there. They'll do, more fighter stuff there. I'm sure they'll find ways. They'll find ways to, jiu-jitsu, exactly. Like all these things, they'll find ways to make money using that facility. We're going to find out though. A lot of it to me has to do with how they're setting up their negotiations. That's what it comes down to. Who's willing to pay? Now remember, when they left Spike and they went to Fox Fox paid out the ass for that very first fight with Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez. They paid out the ass. Cain got paid his viewership for pay-per-views, which was, I want to say it was like almost $3 a pay-per-view buy. He got paid on that. And it was like, I think they ended up doing like 9 or 10 million views for just that one fight.
It was just free on Channel 5. Yeah.
Yes. He got paid his pay-per-view numbers for that fight. So there's got to be, every time they've moved from one network to the next, that first like couple shows, they're dumping money into it. We want this partnership to work. We want it to happen, and so then they dump money into it. They make it happen.
That's what happened with the ESPN deal. I don't remember the exact events, but they signed like a 3-year deal to begin with. And after 3 months, ESPN was like, yeah, no, we're doubling down. And then they did an extension before they were anywhere near that deal, the first one even being done, because they saw the potential. And then now here we are at the back end of it. And it's it's not great. It's not great, but this is a monster fight. Let me ask you one last thing here. Would you, obviously the duck emojis are flying around and Jon's a duck and he's ducking this fight, and do you agree with that? Do you think Jon's ducking this fight, or all is fair in negotiation and there's no ducking going on here at all? Like, if it wasn't Tom Aspinall and if it was anybody else, you think he would just fight? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no one else I think in the heavyweight division that really gives Jon a hard time. And it's only Tom. I would have said Pavlovich, but then he got pieced up, by Tom, got knocked out by Tom. But also Jon Jones doesn't have the speed and the power that Tom Aspinall has. And that, I think, kind of like threw Jon off a little bit. Jon's not afraid of Tom Aspinall. We can just, like you said earlier, we're going to put that to the side. He's not afraid of it. He just wants it all to make sense. And as a fighter, you're like, look, I've given my life to this sport. I want whatever it is to make sense. I only have a couple left. Let me enjoy making as much money as I possibly can. And I want to have some say on when I want to do it, not being forced to do it when you guys want to do it. And so he's comfortable and he's got enough money. He can just walk away, do whatever it is he wants. But I think in this situation, he's not ducking him. He just wants to make sure that all the ducks, no pun intended, they all line up. They're all in line with what he wants with his career. And unfortunately, Tom's on the other side of that. I also think, though, that Tom's going to make good money whether he fights Jon Jones or not. Sure, he'll probably make more money for Jon Jones. But I got to be honest, no one else in that heavyweight division really has a chance to beat him. Pavlovich was probably the toughest guy.
I think Jon Almeida might, just because of the wrestling.
You think so?
Dude, the dude is a wrestling savage. And like, it's you get those big boys wrestling the way that guy, he took down Curtis Blades 9 times in one round.
Yeah, and then he gassed out and got beat up.
he froze. He didn't gas. He froze.
Well, no, he gassed. He
froze.
Jon, or not Jon. The thing, though, this is the thing. He can go ahead and get takedowns. You're telling me that Tom can't survive on the ground with him? Fuck
no. I'm not saying he beats Tom. I think he's got the best chance of anybody outside of Jon Jones to beat Tom. I'm not officially saying he does beat him, but I just think nonstop wrestler is a real hard thing to deal with if you're not used to it. So that's the only thing.
Especially a guy who has that type of jiu-jitsu. But the problem is that Tom doesn't need to have great wrestling. He's just got to have great defensive jiu-jitsu. And then by round 2, he won't be the same fighter, Almeida. So, and I was real high on Almeida when he came into the sport. I'm like, man, this guy got the look. He's good. Like, he don't want to stand. And if he
shoots immediately.
Yeah, once you get tired, not being able to stand at all, you're fighting for your life. It's not going to be good for him. So he needs to get that finish against Tom Aspinall, because in a 5-round fight, which it will be a 5-round fight, he better get him out of there before round 2, or before round 3, I should say. I give him a good 1-2 rounds. After that, it's over.
So do you think, and obviously we're not privy to the negotiations, we have heard from Dana White, this is basically a done deal. We've heard from Tom Aspinall, it's basically done. Even Jon Jones said it's basically done. So we've heard it's basically a done deal, but here we are, no announcements, and it seems like they go backwards, right? You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It seems to be what's going on here with this fight. Do you think, and we've talked about this before, sort of here and there, you don't want Tom Aspinall to become the next Michael Chandler, where you're just waiting too long for this big fight. Do you think it's actually just better at this point for Tom Aspinall to say, screw this guy, I don't care, give me the next guy, I'm going to fight, give me the next one, and then he finishes somebody, he gets another win, and it's like, dude, you're the bum now. I'm the one out here working. You're the bum. Nobody cares. And just to further the case of like, I am the star now, you're aging out of this whole thing. Yeah. Or is it like, no, 6 more months, wait 6 more months. If you don't get it, then move on.
No, I thought he should have fought 6 months ago.
Yeah, just stop. Because he's in his prime is the other.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like with Michael Chandler, he could have fought 2 or 3 more times in between that weight and made double the money he would have made for the one Conor fight. Could
Sure.
have made, because he's getting paid pretty well. Could have fought anybody else and made double the money. Now, the Conor fight is just one fight, so less damage to his body, all those things. With Tom Aspinall, you're in the prime of your life. The heavyweight division is the weakest it's probably been in a long time. Capitalize on that. Fight 3, 4, 5 times. Knock them all down and make Jon want to fight you now. Right now, Jon's complaint is like, who have you beat? You beat one guy. Like, you haven't beat anybody else. You beat an old Arlovsky. Like, like that's his whole take. His take is like, you haven't beat anybody. So why don't you go out there and beat a couple more guys, dominate them like you did against Pavlovich, and then be like, oh, Jon's like, okay, yeah, let's fight. Make people go like, yeah, Jon's truly possibly ducking him. Like, see, this is how good I am.
Yeah.
And
the
argument on one side is he hasn't beat anybody. That's the Jon Jones fans. He hasn't beat anyone. Why is Jon going to risk his legacy to fight this guy? He hasn't beat anybody. Like, go out there and get some wins. He goes out there and he gets some wins. And if he gets those wins and he does it in highlight reel fashion, now you can say like, hey, I'm back. I'm still here waiting for Jon to sign the contract. And Jon's like not signing the contract. Now there's ducks everywhere. Ducks everywhere. Like, people are stealing ducks from Jeeps and putting it on, on their Instagrams, saying like, yo, this is Jon Duck. Like, it's that's more of an argument that can be made then. And also in the process, you're making money. And you're creating your own legacy, doing your own thing, and this is where I put together what Jon Jones is doing is very similar to what Mayweather did to Canelo. I'm going to jump on him now and fight him now, but I want to make him wait. I'm going to make him. He hasn't been active in a year. I'm going to make him wait. Make him now. It's going to even drag. If he'll wait longer, I'll make him wait. I've got so much experience over this kid. I can do anything I want to do. I've got the experience. I understand how to fight the best guys in the world. Been fighting them for 20 years. Tom doesn't have that experience. He needs to get more experience. So the more that he fights before he fights Jon, I think the more chance of success he'll have against Jon Jones. But if you sit around and wait, that you're falling right into what Jon wants.
Yeah.
You're an inactive fighter that like basically wasted some time. You didn't get any better between now and then. Those were my biggest regret. And I've said this a bunch of times. My biggest regret is I didn't fight enough. I should have fought more. I was too concerned about, oh yeah, if I fight, like if I lose if I lose this, I could lose my ranking. I could do this. Like, it's all of those things. It does play a trick in your mind, but no, being active, being inside the cage, fighting those guys as much as you possibly can is the most important part.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I agree. At this point, and again, we're not privy to the conversations. Maybe it quite literally is basically a done deal, right? Or it is a done deal and they're like, you have to wait for the TV deal. Then yeah, wait a little bit more. It may be worth the money. But if it's still this nonsense back and forth on Twitter and they don't really have any actual contracts or paperwork and nobody's agreed on anything, I think Tom Aspinall should fight. Just fight. Fight, beat somebody. And now it just makes Jon look worse and worse. And you're either forcing his hand or they strip him, they move on, and quite literally nobody has a complaint because you've been out there doing it. If they stripped him and moved on right now, Jon has fought in the last 7 months. It's not like he's only fought once in the last 3 years. But that one time was 7 months ago. It was just November. So it's not like it was, we're multiple years into this. And I think technically speaking, the UFC gives you 1 year of grace before they pull that belt. And he hasn't had that year of grace yet. So saying you're going to rip the belt away, it might be a little too premature. But I think if you just fight, and this would be the second time he's defending the interim title, which is absurd. But if you just fight, then you're really just sort of pushing the narrative your way. Like, I don't care about this guy anymore. I'm over here. I'm winning. He could do seminars. Congratulations on your seminar. I'm winning fist fights.
Yeah, keep doing your thing. Like, just build your own legacy. Focus on your own path to success and your Hall of Fame. Like, that's what you got to focus on. Don't worry about what Jon's doing. Jon will find his way back into the picture whenever he wants. But just keep defending the title. I'm like, oh well, you're not the undisputed. No, technically I am. When the champion doesn't want to fight me, technically I'm the champion. Like, once you start saying you don't want to fight or start saying like, I'll be there when I'm ready, this and that. No, I'm the one fighting. I'm the one keeping the heavyweight division going. Just keep it going.
The funniest part about it is there's no legacy to this belt, meaning Jon Jones won a vacant belt. There was no legacy to the belt. Francis Ngannou left. So the belt was vacated. And then Jon Jones won the vacated belt. So it's, you know what I'm saying? This is not as if we have a legacy and oh, you got to beat the actual champ. It's like, what,
Mhm.
who made Jon Jones a champ? He was sort of not gifted, but he earned it with his history and everything he's done. But he was thrown into a vacant belt situation and he won that belt. You are the interim champ. If he fights, if Tom Aspinall fights just one time, he quite literally would have defended the interim belt more than Jon Jones defended the real one.
Yep.
I think you just fight at this point. Obviously, we don't know
Absolutely.
the negotiations, but at this point, I think you just fight and you get it done. Because there's the other, you mentioned Jon Jones waiting, sort of dragging it out, making sure Aspinall's just sort of in the lurch and not getting any better. All this. There's the inverse of that. Jon Jones is getting older. He's not young anymore. He's getting older. And if the making somebody wait could work on the Tom Aspinall side, like, hey man, 8 months from now, you're a little slower.
I see
You're
what
just a
you're
little
saying.
older.
I see what you're saying, but that works a lot more in the lighter weights. In the heavier weights, doesn't really work as much. Like is the amount of knowledge that Jon Jones has, Tom's just scratching the surface of. And I'm
Yeah.
not trying to knock Tom at all. I'm a huge fan, been a huge fan since he came into the sport. I think he hasn't even learned what John has forgotten yet. Like that level of, and that's not a slap in Tom's face. He's just young. And so, like I said, I take the Mayweather effect over the Canelo situation. John's trying to play him and trying to see how long he can drag him on. Very much how Connor did it with Michael Chandler. Let me drag you on as long as I possibly can and see, if you'll play the game. Because I have so much knowledge that I can implement on you when I fight you, whereas you don't have the experience. You don't have the high level. Like when you get in there, will there be a little bit of a deer in headlights look, from Tom Aspinall? I'm fighting Jon Jones. Holy shit. Like, John's not gonna have that. John's like, "Oh, another young kid. I gotta just walk right through." Like that's
Yeah.
his mind. That's gonna be his mindset. Um, and whereas Tom should be trying to get better, and getting better means being active, staying active, and making money. Put money in your pocket, and so you can line your pocket and be like, "Look, I'm good." Don't take that. Don't take that L. Take the, go out there, get the experience, get the work, and make John come to you. Like, okay, look, John can't wait forever because he is getting older, but he's got a lot of knowledge there. And so he can go ahead and exploit the knowledge against Tom. But Tom's got to stay active and got to get better himself. And by
Yeah.
not fighting is not going to make you better.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting dynamic. I hope the fight happens. I want to see the fight. I don't want to wait for a new platform. That's about 6 months away at this point. So hopefully we get it now and the UFC can use that as a bargaining chip to get their next contract instead of trying to sell it after the fact. But let us know if you think Jon Jones is ducking. If you just think this is an elaborate negotiation, if you think Tom Aspinall should fight or he should wait for what should be the biggest fight of his career to date. I'm Angelo. This is Josh Thomson. That was another bad take.